The phone rang in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner. 22 people at the table. My mother answered it. I watched her face change in real time. Confusion first, then something she could not name. She pressed the phone to her chest. Her hand was shaking. "Miriam, did you apply to Caltech?" I stood up. I walked over. I held out my hand. She gave me the phone. "This is Miriam Voss." I had been waiting 7 days for this moment. I had been waiting 18 years. My parents spent years telling me I was not built for big things. They said I was practical. They meant small. They put everything into my brother's future and called it love. If you have ever worked in silence while someone else got the credit, you already know how this feels. Subscribe. This story has one of the most satisfying endings I have ever lived through. I do not want you to miss a single second of it. My name is Miriam Voss. I grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, in a ranch house on the east side of town. Mature oaks, concrete driveway, a workshop out back. I have been repairing vintage radios since I was 12. Not as a hobby, as a practice. I can diagnose a power transformer by sound. I can hear when something is wrong before I touch it. Every morning before school, I wind an old mechanical clock on my desk. It has not kept correct time in 3 years. I never fix it. I just wind it. My brother Cody is 17 and 6'2". When he was 14, a coach told my father he had a D1 arm. That was the moment our family stopped being about both of us. My father, Gerald, poured everything into Cody after that. Money, time, attention, all of it. My mother, Darlene, had a phrase she used whenever I pushed back. "Practical girls plan ahead." I heard that sentence my whole life. I never once heard them say it to Cody. What nobody in that room knew was that I had been building something for months, in secret, in complete silence. I filled out my Common App in the school library during lunch. I wrote my essays at night with the workshop radio on low. One essay was about a Zenith transoceanic radio I restored when I was 14, how I soldered it back together one piece at a time, how the moment it picked up a signal again felt like hearing a voice come back from somewhere far away. I wrote about what it would take to reach even farther, past the atmosphere, past everything they thought I was capable of. On May 13, 2025, at 9:47 p.m., I submitted 8 applications: MIT, Caltech, Stanford, Princeton, Cornell, Carnegie Mellon, Georgia Tech, Michigan. 2 days later, I got my SAT score, 690 math, 780 verbal. I printed it. The paper was still warm. I carried it downstairs. My father glanced over his shoulder. "How bad?" 1470. He turned back to the game. "That is cute, Mary. Good for you." What nobody in that room knew was that I had already sent the applications 2 days before that conversation, 2 days before any of it. I told my parents I wanted to apply to college. My father said, "We have talked about this. Everything we have is going toward Cody's future." My mother said, "Practical girls plan ahead. You will figure something out closer to home." 2 days after that conversation, my mother walked into my room without knocking. She saw a stack of printed envelopes on my desk, backup copies, relics from when I still thought they might change their minds. She called my father upstairs. They made me bring the envelopes down to the kitchen counter. MIT, Caltech, Stanford, Princeton, Cornell, Carnegie Mellon, Georgia Tech, Michigan. My mother pulled a lighter from the junk drawer. She lit the corner of the MIT envelope. I watched it catch. The paper curled, the ink blurred and disappeared. The smell got into my hair, into the collar of my shirt. "This is for your own good," she said, watching the flames. My father stood next to her, arms folded. "Cody's recruiting package cost us $6,800. We invest in what is real." I looked at Cody. He was staring at the counter. He knew it was wrong. He said nothing. My mother ran water over the ashes. The sink made a low, hollow sound. I went upstairs. I opened my laptop. There was my Caltech confirmation email. Application ID 2025-AA17839. Submitted May 13th, 2025, 9:47 p.m. 2 days before they burned the copies. 2 days before they thought they had stopped me. They could not burn what I had already sent. That same night, my phone buzzed. NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, internship decision. I had applied in March, the same week my grandmother Vera died. I was sitting in the funeral home during calling hours, and I filled out the application on my phone with her casket 20 feet away. Vera was the only person in my family who had ever asked me what I actually wanted to build. I clicked open the email. Congratulations, Propulsion Systems Testing Lab, paid position, $18 an hour, 40 hours a week. NASA Marshall was 22 minutes from my house. I hit reply. I typed one word. Sent it at 11:43 p.m. June 2nd, I knocked on my neighbor Mr. Aldridge's door. He is 81. He has not driven since his hip surgery. I had been bringing in his mail for 3 years. I told him I needed to borrow a car for the summer. He handed me the keys to a 1998 Buick LeSabre, the color of old cream. Do not put it in a ditch, he said, and I will not ask questions. I drove to NASA Marshall. My hands were tight on the wheel. Gas station coffee in the cup holder. At the security gate, I showed my ID. The guard checked a list. He nodded. He waved me through. They gave me a badge, a lab coat, a hard hat. The first time they fired a rocket engine on the test stand, the sound arrived before I could brace for it. It was not loud the way music is loud. It was pressure. It filled the space inside my chest. I stood there in my hard hat and thought, this is where I belong. I need to pause here. Has anyone ever treated your work like it was invisible? Like what you built did not count because it did not look the way they expected? Tell me in the comments. I worked 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday, 7 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. Every evening, I drove the Buick back to Mr. Aldridge's driveway, parked it across the street, walked through my own front door, smelling faintly of machine oil and lab air. Nobody asked where I had been. The first week, my father said, "Where were you?" I said, "Workshop." He said, "Fine." He turned back to the TV. That was it. By week 4, my supervisor, Dr. Whitmore, gave me my own project, micro thruster efficiency improvement. I ran 47 simulations, adjusted nozzle angles, tested fuel ratios, modified thrust vector control algorithms. There was one evening in week 6 when I sat in the parking lot and did not move. The engine was off. I sat there for 20 minutes, wondering if my results were real, wondering if I was too young to be reading them right, wondering if Dr. Whitmore was being kind instead of honest. Then I went back inside. I ran 3 more simulations. By week 8, I had results. 12% efficiency improvement over the current standard design. Dr. Whitmore looked at my findings for a long moment. This is publishable work, Miriam. Most graduate students do not produce results like this. I saved a screenshot of my Caltech portal in a folder labeled Radio Schematics. I accepted the NASA Pathways invitation to return in the spring at $20 an hour. I accepted it from a school bathroom stall between second and third period. Then I walked to class. I earned $7,200 that summer. My parents never knew. November 20th, I refreshed the Caltech portal at 8 p.m. Door locked, lamp on, the broken clock wound and sitting on my desk. The page loaded slowly. Then the word appeared. Congratulations. I refreshed again. It was still there. Need-based grant, $68,000 per year, $272,000 over 4 years. I would graduate debt-free from one of the finest STEM institutions in the world. Something opened in my chest, not painfully, the way a frequency finally comes through on a dial you have been adjusting for a long time. I took a screenshot, saved it, closed my laptop, went down to dinner. They had no idea what was coming. Thanksgiving, November 27th. 22 people around the table. My father carved the turkey with the confidence of a man who was certain he was the story. He said grace and named Cody's season. He did not say my name. Gerald told Uncle Pete they were in conversations with several programs. He said it right in front of me. My mother told Aunt Sylvia I was taking some time, very practical. I cut my turkey. Then the phone rang. My mother answered. I watched her face.
She pressed the phone to her chest. Her hand was not entirely steady. "Miriam, did you apply to Caltech?" I set down my fork. I stood up. I walked over. I held out my hand. She gave me the phone. 22 people listening. "This is Miriam Voss." The voice on the other end was calm and professional. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen, California Institute of Technology, Office of Financial Aid." She confirmed the need-based grant of $68,000 per year. She invited me to the admitted students' reception on December 8th. Then she said, "Congratulations, Miriam. We are absolutely thrilled to have you as part of Caltech's class of 2030. Your application was exceptional." I hung up. I set the phone on the table next to the rolls. The silence had weight. My father stood up slowly. His face was a shade of red I did not have a name for. What just happened? I looked at him. I looked at my mother. I looked at Grandpa Walt at the end of the table. He was smiling, quiet and certain. "I got into Caltech," I said. My father's voice rose. "You went behind our backs?" "I submitted the applications online," I said, 2 days before you burned the backup copies I had printed. Cody's head came up. "Before?"
"2 days before." My father was stuttering. "When did you find out you got in?" "November 20th. A week ago, and you said nothing." I looked at him. "Would you have listened?" Nobody answered. Grandpa Walt walked around the table and put his arms around me. He said quietly, close to my ear, "Vera knew. She always knew." Then, louder, so the room could hear it, "There is more, isn't there?" I nodded. "Tell them," he said. "I have been working at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center since June." My mother's voice broke. "What?" "Summer internship, propulsion systems testing lab, $18 an hour, 40 hours a week, 10 weeks. I earned $7,200. The table erupted. "NASA, you were there all summer?" My father's voice cut through. "You said you were in the workshop." "You didn't ask for details," I said. "You assumed it was nothing. You didn't care enough to ask where." Mrs. Kowalski, who taught 10th grade English at my school for 30 years, was crying. "I told you, Darlene, in parent conferences. I told you." Grandpa Walt told the table he had called Dr. Whitmore the week before. 47 simulations, 12% efficiency improvement, publishable work. My father's voice went hollow. "You did all of this without us?" "I did it despite you," I said. Then Cody stood up. His chair scraped back. Everyone looked at him. "You spent $10,000 on me," he said. "Camps, recruiting videos, training clinics, the QB Academy, all of it." His voice broke. "I am backup quarterback. I have played 12 snaps all season, all in garbage time. No offers, no scouts, nothing. I am barely holding a roster spot because Coach Murphy feels sorry for me." He was crying now. "She did this alone. While you paid for my fake future, she got into Caltech. She worked at NASA. She earned real money. She did everything right." He looked at my parents. "You burned her applications, and you made me stand there and watch." He walked out of the room. A door closed. Nobody moved. Then Grandpa Walt's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. He put the call on speaker and set the phone next to Vera's photograph, which he brings every Thanksgiving, which is the one tradition in this house that has never once been questioned. Raymond Holt, estate attorney for Vera Voss. He was calm, professional. He announced a trust my grandmother had established before she died, $150,000, split equally between Cody and me, $75,000 each, with one condition. Each grandchild receives their share only upon acceptance to an accredited 4-year university. As of November 20th, I qualified. Cody did not. My mother's voice cracked. "Mother never told us about this." "She specifically asked me not to," Raymond Holt said. "She told me they will try to redirect it. They will tell themselves they know best. Do not let them." Grandpa Walt reached into his coat pocket. He pulled out a yellowed envelope with my name on it in Vera's handwriting, that particular forward slant she used when she was being deliberate. He asked if I wanted him to read it. I nodded. He cleared his throat.
Walt, if you are reading this, the kids are grown, and things went the way I thought they might. I only have one thing to say. Miriam is the one. I stopped breathing. She has got Vera in her. Quiet, brilliant, built to last. I watched her for 17 years, and I saw what everyone else was too busy to see. She does not need to be loud to be extraordinary. She does not need anyone's permission to be brilliant. The money is hers when she earns it, and she will. Do not let them waste her. Tell her I am proud. Tell her she is named after me for a reason. Tell her the stars were always meant for her. Vera. 8 seconds of complete silence. Then Aunt Sylvia started crying. Then Mrs. Kowalski. Then Amber. Then Grandma Lou, who covered her face with both hands and did not lift them for a long time. My parents did not get up from their seats. Grandpa Walt offered me his spare room. I accepted. I went upstairs and packed a bag. Laptop, clothes, the Caltech welcome packet from inside the hollowed cathedral radio in the workshop, my NASA badge, the broken clock. I almost left the clock. Then I didn't. Cody was sitting on the bottom step when I came back through. He said he had found my badge in July, in the laundry room. He had picked it up, read it, and put it back. He had known all summer. He said he kept the secret for himself, not for me. He did not want to be the one who wasn't special anymore. That was honest. I held it without saying anything for a moment. You are special, I told him. Not the way they wanted you to be. That is okay. He held on when I hugged him, longer than I expected. I walked past my parents in the hallway. My father had his hand on the wall. My mother was sitting on the stairs. I did not look back. 5 days later, $82,200 appeared in my bank account, $7,200 in summer earnings, $75,000 from the estate of Vera Voss. I sat with that number for a long time. My mother came to talk. I listened to all of it. Then I told her, sorry is a starting place. It is not a destination. My father came to the porch in February. He said he was afraid, though he did not entirely understand of what. I told him, forgiveness is something I will have to earn my way toward, the same way I earn everything, slowly, with proof. February 15th, Grandpa Walt drove me to the airport. He carried one of my bags to the curb. He held me for a moment before he pulled back. Go build something, he said. I went through security. I did not look back. I arrived at Caltech, room 237. I put the broken clock on the windowsill. I wound it. It does not tell the right time. It never does. I wind it anyway. Because some things you keep doing, not because they are useful, but because they are yours. Here is the one thing I want you to take from this. The people who could not see you were never the measure of what you were worth. Tell me something. If this had been you, would you have done the same thing? Or would you have given them one more chance? Drop it in the comments. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story right now, send it to them. They will know why. If this story gave you that feeling, that specific satisfaction of watching the truth finally land, subscribe, because I have more. Stories about people who were written off and counted out, who then made sure that was the last mistake anyone made. See you in the next one.